Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1. Should I say Stop and Go F3? Because that's what we're talking about right now. This morning on race day, of course, we'll have all the coverage of the F2 and F1 throughout the day, so subscribe for that. But right now, we're talking about the F3 and what has been two fantastic races, starting with the sprint race of yesterday, which saw Sebastian Montoya on pole position with Johnny Edgar alongside. It's just started to rain before the race even started, which means that the FIA decided to delay the start of the race by 10 minutes in order to allow the drivers to change their tyres from the dries to the wets. Although there's just one driver who does that. That's Gregoire Saucy decides to change his tyres onto the wet tyres. The remainder of the field stay on the dries. And as the race begins, Montoya gets away well, and Taylor Barnard is up to P2, but then P2 is taken from him by Colapinto. We get a great battle between Christian Mansell and Pepe Marti through Copse, Maggots and Beckett, and Marti is then up to P8. Saucy, who started on the wet tyres, is now down to P29 after 5 laps of racing, so the wet tyres were the wrong decision to make at that point in the race. Bortoleto is fighting Gabriele Mini for P5, where Mini locks up and lets Bortoleto through. That's on lap 7. We get a 10-second penalty for Cohen for causing a collision, and now at lap 8, the rain starts to come down very, very, very heavily to the point that DRS is disabled for the race. And in some sections, the rain is because the track is so big, in some sections the rain is incredibly heavy. In other sections, there is no rain. The safety car is brought out due to weather, which I hate. I know it's safety. I know we have to take this into consideration. I know it's probably the right thing to do. But if the weather is that bad, leave it on the drivers and the teams to change to wet tyres. That's how I feel about it. I don't think it was that bad. I think the visibility was still pretty good. I think they could have coped with it without a safety car, but whatever. The safety car comes out. That's when we see a lot of drivers coming in for the wets, but not all of them. The front pack decided to stay on the dries. The likes of Boganovic and Bedrin, they pit for wets. Luke Browning is out behind the safety car, and he's told that the rain is going to stop soon. The top 10 drivers were on the dries. The remaining 20 were on the wets. Boganovic is the highest placed driver on the wets behind the safety car. He started dead last, P30. He's now up to P11. And the safety car ends. Montoya, who's leading, gets away quite slowly. It looks like he went, then changed his mind, then realised he can't change his mind, had to go again. So you had Barnard on the back of him straight away. And into turn 1, they hit. Montoya goes off, Barnard goes off, and Colapinto takes the lead. Aron is up to P7 now. He's now the leading guy on the wet tyres. With 5 laps to go, it is Colapinto leading from Bortoleto, from Mansell, Paul Aron up into P4. The track now is starting to get drier with 2 laps to go, and Aron's wet tyres aren't working as well as they are. He went from P4 to P7 in a matter of laps. Montoya, who was leading the race the majority of the time, after the crash he went down to P18. He's now up to P10 and has a fantastic overtake up to P8. Of course, he is on the dry tyres, overtaking a lot of guys now on the wets. We have Marti versus Aron in a battle for P10. And then Mansell versus Colette on the final lap for P3. Christian Mansell, going for his first ever podium, has to fight off against Caio Collet. In the end, Colapinto takes the win of the sprint race from Bortoleto, and Christian Mansell does it. He gets P3. Montoya, who really should have won the race if it wasn't for that incident, finishes P8. And Marti was actually the highest placed wet tyre driver, taking P10, which isn't any points, I don't think, in the F3 sprint. It's just the top 8. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the top 10 in F3. I can't remember. But that was a fantastic race. But now we have the race from this morning, the feature race. So we have Fornaroli on pole with Ollie Goethe alongside. In terms of championship battles, Bortoletto is in 5th, Marti in 3rd. Now this is a dry start, everyone on the dries, and everyone gets away very well. The person who got away the best, though, was Pepe Marti. You can see at the start, he had a much better start than the two guys in front of him, but they both came into the middle and blocked him off, so there was nowhere for him really to go. As they go through the first sector, he found an opening and was able to get P2 away from Goethe on turn 4, but then Goethe was able to get it back off him. Luke Browning is off at the start-finish straight after lap 1 after he was hit by Hugh Barter. This brings out the safety car. Further down the grid, you got Johnny Edgar and Kai Collett have made contact, and this is the end of Edgar's race. As I said, Goethe was able to take back P2 from from Pepe Marti, sorry. Now there's an argument behind the safety car between Marti and Aaron because they were side by side when the safety car came out, and they're arguing as to who actually should be in P3. The stewards rule that it was Marti, and as the safety car comes to an end, O'Sullivan is out. Or is he? We see him parked on the side of the track not moving. This is because he was hit by... Well, he wasn't hit by Fredericks, but Fredericks pushed him out wide. He hit the gravel, span it out. But he was able to get it back going again. He was able to recover, carry on going. At this point in the race, lap 10 of 22, the top 6 are all within 1 second of each other. So you've got a big DRS train for the top 6. Mini and Colapinto are fighting for P7. Mini's able to get past and then chase the top 6 on lap 12. Get a 5-second penalty for Farrier because he was at an incorrect starting position at the start of the race. There's now threats of rain on lap 13 of 22, and Ollie Goethe takes the lead from his teammate Fornaroli. Now, I would suspect this may have been team orders. I think Fornaroli's tyres were gone because he didn't really put much of a fight at this point. He'd led every lap, but when his teammate came to take the lead from him, he kind of just let him. That's on lap 15. And then from there, Fornaroli was massively under pressure from Marti, but I think Marti then made a mistake through Maggots and Beckett's because Marti was then massively under pressure from Paul Aron. Aron tries to go around the outside after the hanger straight, but Marti gives him no room, and Aron overtakes him, but off the track, so has to give the position back. That's on lap 16. On lap 17, the rain comes back after its starting role yesterday, and we see Farrier has got into the barrier. This brings out the safety car for lap 18. Pepe Marti says on the radio that it's getting close for wet tyres, but doesn't want to make the change. The one person who makes the change is Tommy Smith, who is basically at the back. I think maybe he was like 27th, something like that. He is the only one who makes the change for the wets. And as the safety car comes in, we have 2 laps to go. 2 laps on a track that is getting very wet with only one driver on the wet tyres. And, it's Formula 3, so madness is always guaranteed. After the first lap, Tommy Smith is now up to 18th place in 1 lap. And as we cross the line on the final lap, it is Ollie Goethe who wins his first ever Formula 3 race. His teammate Fornaroli brings it home in second. Pepe Marti completing the top 3. Tommy Smith, though, went from the back to P11 in 2 laps, and he was just like 0.1 off of P10. They basically crossed the line side by side. That's how close he was to a point. That's how good the wet tyres were at the end. The risk that no one else wanted to take. So there you go. That is 2 fantastic Formula 3 races that we had today. I'm really looking forward to the remainder of the race we had today, especially the F2 and the F1 later on today. As I said, subscribe for all that good stuff. As for my star of F3 this weekend, well, part of me wants to give it to Tommy Smith for his heroics over the last 2 laps. And part of me wants to give it to Paul Aron because I think he demonstrated some really good driving throughout the entire weekend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to them both. For the first time ever, 2 people are the stars of F3 this weekend. Paul Aron and Tommy Smith. Now, don't expect this to be a thing that happens a lot. I don't want it to be a thing that happens a lot. But Paul Aron was the guy I was most impressed with all weekend. But then you can't let that last 2 laps from Tommy Smith go unnoticed. So there you go. 2 stars of F3 this weekend. What will happen the remainder of the weekend, we don't know. We've already had a fantastic F2 sprint race I'll talk about later on. And then F1's looking like it could be a good one. So that's all the fun of the fair. I'll see you there when we talk about it. What a great day we have ahead of us. See you there. Goodbye.